Hello, I'm David Jones, and I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at gold, given that the price, I think you can see it here, has moved out to fresh all-time highs once again. We did see this back in May of this year, broke out to all-time highs, but we didn't get any follow-through, and the price ended up sliding about $150 after that. But here we are again, we've broken out through those highs in May by about $30 or so, just in the last day and a half. So I thought it would be interesting to take a look at the price of gold, see where it could go next. Should we just be a buyer? Is this going to be a false break in the short term? And actually going short is the right thing to do here. But let's see. So in a second, we'll jump on the charts and we'll take a look at things in a bit more detail. Before we get into that, there's a few other things I do as well. I run a training course. You can find details on the website. I run a WhatsApp group that's been running for about 18 months now. Updates from me throughout the day, in the morning, the markets I'm looking at, the trades I've got running. At the moment, at the time of recording this on Thursday, I'm long US Treasury bonds, long platinum. Bit of a frustrating trade that's been. And long the S&P from yesterday. I did say in yesterday's video, on the S&P, I was looking at doing a trade there, so I'm in that trade. And then at the weekend, I do a newsletter, which is free of charge. So if you're not in the newsletter group, you can use the link in the description down below to sign up. If you'd like to try the WhatsApp group for a month, if you use the code YouTube, you get 20% off the first month. So that's it. Let's take a look at gold now, though. Clearly, there's a lot going on. You know, geopolitically, we've got the US election later this year. We've still got the war in Ukraine going on. We have the situation in Israel, between Israel and Gaza. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. We've seen volatility in stock markets. So plenty to make gold perhaps appealing to some. And we've had a weaker US dollar. You know, the dollar index is trading at about a 3-month low. So lots of reasons why gold has been lifted. Can it continue? Let's jump on the charts and take a look. So let's just remind ourselves where we are on gold. So we're going back a few years here, back to 2020. So we had the highs around about $2,075 an ounce, something like that. There was a real problem. You can see the number of times it just couldn't really get through there. And then finally we get the break this year, so Feb of this year, and the market's moved. It's about 20% higher or so, not quite 20% maybe, but a decent move since that break. And let's roll it forward. So we had the all-time high, a new all-time high set in April. The market did break briefly, pushed through for one day in May, up as high as about 24.50, but then sold off down towards 22.80, 22.90 into June. And here we are again. We're breaking out again. So I think it's interesting, you know, whether this is going to be a real break this time round. Is it a bit of a false break and we pull back into that range that gold has been in for the last 3 months? But, you know, undeniably, if we take things out, the price of gold has been in this uptrend since the end October 2022, around about then, September, October 22. So we are not quite 2 years into this uptrend, but we are in an uptrend and the price has accelerated away from here. So what are the options here? As ever, when it comes to markets, there are lots of different choices really. We could either jump on it now and assuming that this break that we're seeing in gold is going to be like this break back here, back in March when it finally went through 2075 and we saw that big run up. Or perhaps we wait for a pullback, wait to see where's the market going to pull back to. So for me, if I was doing that, buying the pullback or really buying off the dailies at the moment at this early stage of the break, I would want my stop loss below the low that's been in place since May. So around about 22.75, 22.80, that sort of area. So even if we do, you know, drop back into the range where it was early July, the mid 2300s, it's still a buying opportunity to me because that trend has been up, you know, and I would want my stop below here. The bigger trend is way down at 2000. So even if the price of gold drops back to where it was in early March, the big trend is still up. So for me, I'd like to be a buyer. The only question is, do I wait for some sort of pullback or do I just jump in right now? If we look at it from a more shorter term point of view, this was the move to all-time highs yesterday. So it was around about 2 o'clock, between 2 and 3 p.m. yesterday UK time, we can definitely see a shorter term trend that's been chugging along on gold since the end of June. So we're still very much in that trend, looking at something like that. So that comes in around 2,400. So again, if we had a shorter term sell-off over the next few days, let's say it bumps its way back to 2420, 2,420, I'd absolutely be a buyer from a short term point of view. And where I would put my stop is probably the other side of 2,390. So the lows from the 12th of July, so just under a week ago. So for me, it's a buy. I never really like trading breakouts and just jumping on as soon as they break out. Usually what I want to wait for is the market to pull back a bit, stabilize, and then look to be a buyer. But I think it's a really interesting market to watch over the next week or so. You know, we shouldn't really look at gold without looking at the US dollar. So a quick look at the US dollar index. You know, this has helped the price of gold. You know, we've seen the US dollar slide during July. Today, back down to levels not seen since March. So we're at a almost 4-month low on the US dollar today. It is, you know, it's pushed through the bottom of the range. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw the US dollar snap back a bit from here. So I think that would be interesting. If that happens, that will put a bit of pressure on the price of gold. But I think that sets up perhaps for me the better trade. If we do see it pull back into this trend it's been in since late June, there's definitely, I think, an opportunity there if it does drift back to those low 2,400. So either way, I'd like to be a buyer of gold. Interesting to see what happens over the next few days, couple of weeks. And as usual, it's a regular on the live streams, so we'll take a look at it in this Friday's live stream. So that's it for the update in gold. We'll take a look at it in a bit more detail in tomorrow's live stream on Friday. Don't forget to find out all the other stuff I do. Have a look on the website. If you want to try the WhatsApp group, use the code YouTube to get 20% off the first month. Make sure you're in the newsletter for this weekend for the usual trading tips from me. But for now, we'll leave it there. So until the next time, good luck with your trading.